This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, March 18th. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. We have a fairly robust agenda here. First item up is the approval of the minutes from March 14th board meeting and the county board workshop on March 11th. We can approve them collectively or individually. I'll stand for motions or changes.
I'll make that motion. I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
The minutes are approved on 4-1. All right. Next would be the today's agenda. Would anyone like to add or remove anything from today's agenda? I think there's one item that we were removing from the consent agenda.
Consent, yeah, and I'll discuss that during the consent.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Moyna, second by Commissioner Shane to approve today's agenda as presented. No other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, agenda is approved unanimous. Today's consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove anything from today's consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to remove item F1. It's a resolution, and we just have to do a quick roll call vote on it.
Okay, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to remove C3 for further discussion.
See.
The budget amendments.
So we have a motion, we have a motion here to approve the consent agenda with F1 and C3 removed.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Moyna, second by Commissioner Dietrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Well, first we would have the C3. Commissioner Dietrich.
Sure, I am. I had some questions regarding one particular item under the budget amendments, and I had Lindsay come so she could answer some questions for me on that, please. Thank you. The first question is, these are budget amendments for budget year 2025, correct? or 2024? Are
Good
some
morning, Mr. Chair, Mrs.
Commissioner.
Yes, they are.
They're all for budget year 2025?
Yep.
Okay. Can you please explain to me what ARP general fund dollars are, as that's stated in the minutes for the item for county ditches where our ARP general funds were designated and allocated in December. And that's the reason I was asking which year these would be amended for, because those were requested and allocated in December. And so then moving forward with that item, with the ditches, can you explain, in there it's repeatedly says ARP general fund dollars, and
Are you talking about budget amendment number 12 or 15?
the ditches related to, I don't have that in front of me, the allocation of funds to offset costs to not the grant fund, but the offset costs directly to ditches, number 10, 20, 31, and 35.
That's not part of that budget amendment. I'm looking at it right here. I do not see that as a budget amendment on that item.
Well, they're included all together under the holistic recommendation from that workshop and then approved at the board to move forward for budget amendments. It was $330,000.
That budget amendment, if you're looking, I mean, I have it right here in front of me. I am trying to find that particular budget amendment in the list of them.
I would agree,
I don't see where you're,
that particular budget amendment is not being requested today.
Under the reference to
Under the
the
budget
workshop that we had. I mean, we had the documentation in with
It's not
the
in these,
amendments.
it's not in these budget amendments today.
and I don't necessarily know that there would be necessarily a budget amendment for that. That is a part, it's already been in fund balance. So where would
No,
be the,
It has to be approved. It was in a different, it has to be approved. You can't just. Okay, so if this isn't the right one, I will withdraw this and have a discussion at a future time regarding this. I just wanted to understand and answer some questions in regard to those funds and how they, just that process that we would move forward with. So that's all. I will
Okay.
withdraw that item and we can move forward.
I'll make a motion to approve C3 from the consent agenda.
I'll second.
all right, motion by Commissioner Moyna, second by Commissioner Holland to approve C3 from the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. All right.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask real quick, when would that amendment come forward, being that was designated in December? Why isn't it being done with this group of amendments? Just curious.
And I guess that can be answered at a different time. It's not germane to the agenda, so we can actually deal with that offline. We'll have a discussion about that, but it's not germane to the agenda, so.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right. Next, we have the F1.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this item was on consent. We just need to have a quick roll call vote since this is a resolution, Mr. Chair.
All right. So this is a resolution to approve the authorized signatures on the 2023 Emergency Management Performance Grant. If there's any questions, Captain Ferguson's here, but otherwise, it's a roll call vote resolution for this grant.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Dietrich, second by Commissioner Holland to approve the Emergency Management Performance Grant. Any discussion? Hearing none. Commissioner Moyna.
Aye.
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 All right, resolution passes 5-0. Thank you. Now moving on to our timed agenda items. Today we are lucky to have the members of the CMJTS here to make a presentation to us on the wonderful things that they're working on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good morning. Thank you.
You have a power. Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. Good morning. I am Dina Warnes, Executive Director with Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services. We are also known as CMJTS. And I would like to quickly just ask some of our board members and staff members to introduce themselves as well. They're here.
Board Commissioner Rob Stark, Trevor Turek. I'm Troy Gilbert's on staff.
Good morning.
Morning. So what I'd like to do first is just talk a little bit about who CMJTS is. On the right-hand side of your folder, I've put some information in there. It's our annual report, as well as a brochure that just highlights some of the services that we provide here in Wright County. As well as on the left-hand side, there's a bunch of handouts. And as I go through information, some of these handouts relate to the information that I'm going to share with you this morning. So if we could go ahead and move that slide forward. Perfect. Want to let you know, CMJTS serves 11 counties in central Minnesota, including Wright County. And you can see that we go as far north as Pine County. We go as far south as Renville County. And we serve all 11 counties. We are the workforce development provider, and we are assigned as the administrative and the fiscal entity by the Workforce Development Board here in Local Workforce Development Area 5. Go ahead and switch it. Yep, thank you. I wanted to share with you a little bit about what our funding sources are. We have a variety of funding sources that help to keep our doors open, help to maintain our programming, and serve our clients. And our clients include job seekers and businesses. So I want to clarify that real quick. You can see our largest funding stream is our adult programs. There is a handout on the right-hand side, talks about grant funds. This gives you some pretty clear detail on the funding that we receive on an annual basis in order to deliver these services. These are the grants that make up these different categories of funding. So we do have adult programming, we have business service funding, we also have some funding in 6 of our 11 counties for public assistance, which is those MFIP, diversionary work, and SNAP programs. And then we also receive funding to serve youth. Any questions on that? Okay, great. Our next slide then, talking about development team. We do have a fund development manager at CMJTS. One of the reasons why we have that fund development manager is in order to work with fundraising, to identify potential foundation grants, legacy grants, respond to RFPs, proposals for competitive funding. We are always seeking out new funding that helps us to not be so reliant on state and federal funds. Our goal is to be self-sufficient without state and federal funds. So that's the purpose of our workforce development team, as well as our fund development manager. In the right-hand side, you will see handouts. I have in there one that shows you all of the different grants that our grant writing team has responded to or applied for, and then whether we've received them or if we're still waiting, or if we've been denied. Anytime we are denied a grant, we always follow up and ask why. We want to make sure that we're always doing our best to improve with our grant writing so we can be successful in the next year. Also, we are doing some fundraising, some fun events. We just tentatively got our date on the calendar. It is September 18th. We are doing a golf tournament fundraiser at Pebble Creek in Becker, Minnesota, and we're hoping to generate some funds there. We're pretty excited about that opportunity, and we'll be sending out invitations, and hopefully we have some Wright County commissioners attending that event. I want to talk next about who we provide services to. There is in your handouts again a chart. Looks like this. It's the chart of services. This gives you a brief understanding of all of the programs and services that we deliver and to what target populations. Our first group that I will talk about is the job seeker. We focus on job seekers who are facing those career changes. Oftentimes when they lose a job or they haven't worked in many years. Maybe they were incarcerated, they're just returning, reentry. Whatever their story is, we're going to match them where they're at. We have all kinds of programs and services designed to help people regardless of whether they were dislocated from a 6-digit figure job versus the individual who hasn't worked ever. So we have all kinds of services, and we have the training and availability to serve them right where they're at. Some key things that we do with our job seekers, we complete assessments to make sure that we get an idea of what's the best career pathway for that individual. Another thing we do is draft resumes, whether they're going through some training first and then need to job search or job searching immediately. We're developing those resumes, we're helping them with interviewing skills, and then we have resources to help with job placement as well. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. Troy, do you want to just chat a little bit real quick on some of the services that we specifically are providing here in Wright County?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dina. Good morning, everybody. My name's Troy Gilbertson. I'm the Adult Program Manager, and I support the resource room at the Monticello Comprehensive Center. And the resource room, physically, it's a computer lab, and it's available to job seekers to set up a resume or to apply for jobs and things like that. We assist with that. We're actually running a resume workshop right now this morning that's available to community members. We run workshops on a variety of topics, interview skills, resume workshop, job search over 40, things like that. We assist customers with job seeking, and sometimes that's helping them with skills identification. And like Dina said, so we work with people where they're at. If they haven't had a job before, they might not know what their skills are, so we might try to match them. If they're coming off a layoff or an injury or something like that and need to crosswalk their skills, we can try to match that with available jobs and opportunities in the community. So we will work with customers, do a general sort of intake assessment, have a conversation about strengths and barriers, try to connect them with community resources. In many cases, we will go over eligibility and intake them directly into one of our programs right in that resource lab. And then also in Monticello, we have the Adult Basic Education Lab and the senior program, as well as some other services. So pretty comprehensive wraparound right down the block.
Absolutely. Thank you, Troy. In your handouts, you do have a listing. I wanted to share with you the number of Wright County residents we served. Our program year runs, it's a fiscal program year, so it runs July 1st to June 30th. So this would be July 1st of 23 to June 30th of 24. These were the numbers and the different programs that we deliver. So you can see that we served 332, and some of them are still on our caseloads, and we continue to work with them. Next slide, please. So this is just a quick summary of the individuals that we serve. Again, stating they do come to us with individual circumstances. We do not believe in a cookie cutter approach. Everything we do is individualized and based exactly on what that individual needs. Our goal with every individual that we work with is to get them back to work. Next slide, please. So next I want to talk about our business services, because we have two customers. We have the job seeker and we have the business. So we work with businesses in our communities. We have business service coordinators. Some of you may know Tim Zapoy. He is the business service coordinator here for Wright County. He does all kinds of initiatives with our employers, helping them seek out, find, and retain the employees that they need or have on board. They will do one-on-one consultations with employers to find out what their needs are, and then connect with our job seeker groups to see if we have some good matches that we can be as a liaison to that employer and meet them up. We also work with employers. Sometimes they're going to have a layoff, and it's unavoidable. And a lot of times employers care about the people that work for them. They care about their workers. So they want to know, what can we do? CMJTS is what they can do. So Tim will go in and talk about the services that we can provide to those dislocated workers in order to help shift them into a job search. We may even go into that layoff before it even happens. Sometimes we get in there 2-3 months in advance, and we can start working with those job seekers, updating resumes, connecting them with employers that we think their skills will match with, and get them employed before they're even laid off potentially. In your handouts, there is again another handout, talks about the business services, all of the different resources that we provide. Couple of things to note with employers, we can provide what we call on-the-job training for up to 6 months. We can help an employer pay 50% of a wage to a new hire if that individual is eligible for our programs. And that 50% is essentially a reimbursement on that wage to agree to train an individual. Sometimes that helps people get their foot in the door. That might not be the best applicant, but the employer likes something about them. They just need some extra assistance to be the best employer on the task side. We can do that OJT to help. The other thing we do a lot with our employers is incumbent worker. An incumbent worker is essentially, we have an employer who either needs to increase their competitiveness in the area or they need to avert a layoff. We're able to help them with that. We can pay for up to $25,000 annually for an employer to bring in some type of training to help upskill their employees and keep them competitive in the market, sometimes global, sometimes national, sometimes state. Any questions with that? All right, next slide, please. So these are some of the businesses that we've helped in Wright County specifically. We've done some OJTs with the different companies you see listed here. If you want any detailed information, I can certainly get that to you. My card is in the folder. Just shoot me an email and I can answer any questions you have. Next slide, please. Some things I want to talk about are just the innovative and new initiatives we're doing at CMJTS, and that's all of the rest of the handouts. So I won't necessarily pull them out for you right now, but just call your attention to the fact that they are in your packet. Some things that I want to highlight: Operation Exploration, youth camps, and that's actually coming up in June this year. We are doing a youth camp June 9th through the 13th. It's at the Wright Technical Center, and it will be focusing on healthcare skills, healthcare careers. So for that entire week, kids come to the Wright Technical Center and they get to try out all kinds of things. They get to practice doing sutures, they get to practice CPR, they get to practice all kinds of stuff hands-on, virtual. We have all kinds of training providers there to give them the skills that they need. Registered apprenticeship, I just want to call out that CMJTS is working really hard to become an area of expertise to help employers get connected with registered apprenticeship in the Department of Labor. So if you have employers who are interested in implementing a registered apprenticeship program, but they don't know how, we can help. So send them our way. Another item is our Wright County Recovery. CMJTS was a recipient of the opioid grants that were awarded, 2 years ago? And we did run a certified peer recovery specialist program. We had 12 participants, all of which graduated with their certification, and we continue to work with them now. We're trying to place them in recovery centers here in Wright County. We want to keep our Wright County residents working in Wright County. The other thing, we do host an HR administrative cooperative. So if you have employers who are talking about the need for, they just need someone to bounce ideas off of. Maybe they feel alone in their industry, their HR or an employer, and they just need some support. We have a support group. There's information again in your folder on that. Please share that with employers if it seems appropriate. If you're not sure if it's appropriate, give us a call and we'll connect with the individual. And then finally, we do have professional networking groups as well. We like to help our professionals who are job seeking to connect with other professionals to find those jobs. And our Workforce Development Board Chair, Rob Stark, he was one of our founders of that group. So we're Very thankful for that. Next slide. Want to talk lastly, we did do some strategic planning at CMJTS just last Friday. We had Amplify DMC come out. They ran a strategic planning event for us. It was all day. Commissioner Holland was able to attend. These gentlemen were all there in attendance. It was an amazing event. And essentially what we did is we came up with 4 calls to action, and then we're going to develop plans to implement. And our calls to action were to hang on, let me take my glasses off. To innovate and grow funds. Like I stated at the beginning, we want to become less reliant on those state and federal funds. We really want to focus on brand recognition and make sure that people know CMJTS, we are here. We're here to serve job seekers, employers, our community. So we want to make sure we get that message out clear. Promoting and developing job-ready young workers. We want to make sure we can provide them with the skills they need to match the employer needs as well. And then we have the opportunity to recruit ambassadors. We're looking for ambassadors who can tell our story out in the community and really help us promote our services in the public. All right. Thank you. Any questions for me?
Board members. Dina, thank you so much for coming out. I always enjoy getting an up-to-date call to action and up-to-date as to where things are at with CMJTS. You guys have a lot of very robust services, and I really love how you guys have adapted with the times in creating different work groups and inviting different people from different paths of life into networking opportunities. I think all of us right now can do a great job in helping CMJTS and getting the word out, because they serve everybody. And I think the biggest thing is that there's a old feeling that it's only for the encumbered workers is what the workforce CMJTS is for, and really it's for everyone. Even if you're looking to upscale your career or looking to find a new career, that's for you as well. It's not just those people that have never had a job or are on unemployment.
Correct. Thank you very much, Commissioner Vetch.
Yes, and I want to thank you too for coming up and just knocking it out of the park. The last time we had a presentation from CMJTS, it was pretty bland. This is very in-depth, and we thank you. I think our citizens are very lucky to have you, especially in Wright County, stationed in Wright County. And I do want to say too, it was really amazing, all the people on the Workforce Development Board and the commissioners that came out on Friday. It was such a great event. It was the nicest day of the spring, and people gave it up and went from 8 to 4 and drove over an hour. We had Dr. Johnson, who came all the way from Hutchinson, from Ridgewater, and commissioners that came over an hour and a half, and it was really a great event, and I think it's going to move us forward, and so I'm thankful for all that. Thanks for setting that up. Yeah.
I know you said that you do stuff with the Wright Tech Center. Do you have any partnerships or work with any other schools within the county that you might go into and give presentations?
Yep, we actually have youth career navigators, and I can get you the exact numbers. We do have staff in several of the schools in Wright County. Our staff are actually in those schools meeting with those youth. We are focused on those high-risk youth who might be at risk of not graduating. That's our target population in those schools. We're working with the school counselors. We're working with some of those instructors at the schools. We have a very good relationship. Specifically Buffalo, I know Buffalo, we have a very strong relationship there. Monticello, we've done some presentations to, I think they call it the Naughty Kids Place, but we've done some presentations with the kids who are doing some probationary stuff instead of mainstream schooling. So yes, we're very active in Wright County, but I will get you more information on that.
And then do you guys also get referrals from, I don't know if it would be social workers or school counselors for any of the potential teen parents that might need something to help pay for any of those expenses that come?
We get some. Our purpose, part of that strategic planning we did on Friday to gain that brand recognition, the outreach, the recruitment, we need people to help those professionals know we are a service available to send those children, those kids.
Thank you, Dina.
You bet. Thank you. And I
Appreciate
will
it.
invite you, please come to the Career Force Center in Monticello. Let me know if you're coming and I can give you a tour and answer any questions you have.
Great.
Great. Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right, now moving on to our 9:20 item here. We're relatively on time here. Chad's making his way. Our first item is approve entering into a cooperative agreement with the city of Buffalo.
Morning, Chairman, Vetch, Commissioners. Yeah, this is just a continuation of the sale of the government center property, and city's going to take the lead. Fairly straightforward. We've done this in the past on like CASA 16 Montrose, the 35-day roundabout with the city of Buffalo, and then basically if something happens with the developer agreement, then this would just be on pause till then. So it'll just move in conjunction with that development. So.
Very good. At this time, is there any questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland to enter into a cooperative agreement with the city of Buffalo. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes unanimous. All right, next is award contract 2503.
Yeah, this is for our annual striping contract. We had 2 bidders this year, which is 1 more than we had last year in the last couple of years, so that's good. Prices are about what we expected, and our budget is $800,000, came in at about $725,000. The remainder goes to pavement markings like arrows, stop-aheads, railroad crossings, et cetera. So we'll be using the full budget, but this is just for the striping.
Chad, it is great to see that there's some competition in the market, because I think it was about 4 years ago we were like, well, if this doesn't change, we're going to end up having to buy painting
Right.
trucks. It
Pretty
was-
much, yeah. The prices have went up really high, went up really fast, but they've kind of stabilized the last few years. So that's good to see.
Very good. All right, now I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland to award contract 2503. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Contract awarded unanimous. Next, contract 2502.
Yes, this is our annual seal coat contract. The map was included with the resolution. If you want to see it, also includes fog sealing of several parks trails. And we're recommending awarding the base bid and on all the alternates. And then if there's any questions on the funding and how that's being achieved, we're above budget, but we also have increased revenue from our state aid account more than we expected. So our proposal is to use those funds with no increase to local levy. So there'd be a corresponding budget amendment to address the increased revenue and expense.
All right.
Yep.
Very good. Any questions, board members?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Holland, second by Commissioner Shane to award contract 2502. Any hearing no other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, contract 2502 approved unanimous. Next, we have the resolution agreement with MnDOT.
Yes, there's 2 of them here, so we'll do the first one is MnDOT has work on 55 this summer. The first one is to replace a box culvert between South Haven and Kimball. So they'd be using part of our County Road 2, and then they'd be going through Fairhaven and then come back to 55. So fairly short detour, fairly short duration. And it's just, they worked out well because we replaced our bridge. If we hadn't replaced our bridge, they wouldn't be able to use this shorter detour. So it's fairly straightforward. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer them.
All right, very good. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Holland, second by Commissioner Moyna to approve a resolution agreement with MnDOT for detour. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Resolution vote, Commissioner Shane?
Aye.
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 Resolution passes unanimous. And last, we have the resolution agreement with MnDOT for another detour.
Yes, so this is for the work in Annandale, includes a new signal at CASA 5, pedestrian improvements, culvert replacements. So this is a little bit longer detour, so the dollar amount is higher, but this is basically CASA 3, then over 101 and 39, and then back down on 6. So it's a longer detour, which is why it's like 40-some thousand versus a couple thousand. So similar to what they've done in the past couple years on projects on US 12 and 55, so.
Any discussion, members? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland to approve resolution detour with MnDOT. Any other discussion? Hearing none, resolution vote, aye.
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 Resolution passes unanimous.
Mr. Chair, if I could, just before you leave the podium, Chad, I just want to thank you for all your hard work. You've been so helpful and such a great resource for me. Anytime that I have a question on a lot of activities that I have going on right now, you are ready to assist and answer the phone within a matter of 5 to 10 minutes. So I just want it to be known out there that you're very helpful, you know your job, and thank you for helping me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, copy that. You've been, the open house for 37 and all the calls you've been receiving for that, I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Albertville appreciates you too.
I think most of them do.
Yeah.
A couple that probably don't.
Lots of gold
Can't
stars
please
for Chad
everybody.
today.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. And now Ross is heading to the podium, hoping to get gold stars today too.
Fingers crossed. Hard act to follow there, so. Thank you. Chairman Vetch, Commissioners. The first item is a resolution regarding a grant application for the Segment B of the Crow River Regional Trail. About a couple months ago, you approved moving forward with a contract with WSB for the preliminary planning of the Crow River Regional Trail Segment B, which is along County Road 20 between Rockford and Hanover. During some initial discussions generated from staff, we're thinking because we have about $719,000 of federal grants that are going to be tied to this project, a lot of projects that are along river corridors kind of get earmarked for phase 1 archaeological studies. So we really feel to get out ahead of that. We'd like to run this concurrent with our planning process to see if we run into roadblocks, because if we do go through the entire planning process, start going after grants, and then go back and do a phase 1, this potentially would add quite a bit of additional cost. So if we run these concurrent, we run into a roadblock, we can stop the preliminary plan and then fall back on following up with the phase 1 study.
Very good. I think the methodology makes a lot of sense, saves us from putting money in foolishly, potentially in the long run if we run into some issues, so.
Agreed.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Moyna to adopt a resolution related to the grant application through the Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails Commission. Any other discussion? Hearing none, this is a resolution vote. Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
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 Aye. Resolution passes unanimous.
Thank you. Second item that we have is depositing lease payments that we currently receive from the nature-based school program through the city of the Monticello School District for the chalet. Those currently get deposited into our general revenue account. We'd like to look at putting those into a restricted fund, and it would be a 02529 fund, which would then restrict those funds solely for basically the care and maintenance of the chalet. We're seeing chalet was built maybe not to withstand a lot of the daily wear and tear that a preschool and nature-based program happens. And if you haven't been out there to see the program, it's outstanding. It's an outstanding program. They've tracked the kids that have gone through that program, and they've kind of far exceeded any academic guidelines or credentials. So it's really a great program. And so we're really just trying to stay ahead of the maintenance out there. And if the goal with taking these funds and putting them into a restricted account is that that's the maintenance of the chalet is the only place that we can use these funds.
So Ross, I guess the only part I totally support this methodology because I don't want this to go on our long-term maintenance plan. I'm just wondering because they're utilizing more than just that piece to it, that building out there. Is that scope a little bit too narrow? I mean, I think keeping that lease payment dedicated to the Bertram pot, but if you're dedicating it only to the chalet, is that how I'm understanding it, the way I'm reading it? I just think maybe you want to make it a little bit more broad in terms of how you can utilize it out there, just because their lease payment is going more than just the utilization of the chalet.
Yep, so they actually have 3 separate lease agreements. So they have a lease payment with the city, a lease payment with the county, and a lease payment for the YMCA. So for the lease payment with the county is just for the chalet and the surrounding area.
Yeah, and that's where I think we're working on trying to get it into one holistic one at some point. And I'm just curious how that will transition if we get into one lease. Are we going to come back and modify this then? Because you know where I'm going with this, because we're having those conversations right now.
Yeah, and we could certainly, we may need to come back to modify that, or we can outline that in the lease agreement, that those lease payments, if we're going to combine the lease payments with the red shed and the city and the county's lease becomes one, we could modify that maybe in the lease agreement, that the payments for the red shed would go back to the city.
Because I guess otherwise, just more inclined to just have it be more dedicated as a Bertram Park dedicated fund, and that way the Parks Advisory Board has a little bit more guidance and how they want to use it within the park.
Certainly.
Which most likely they're going to use it for the maintenance.
Yep.
But there might be times where we need to put more lighting out to facilitate, as we had in the last year.
Correct. Yeah, and we initially wrote this as kind of very specific to the chalet, and then we're trying to expand that scope as well. So that's a good point, because the grounds are it looks like goats going through buckthorn. So that's, they're really beating up the grounds. But again, it's a great program, so there's tons of kids out there.
I guess I'm just more open for the discussion on, do you sure you want to handcuff it that narrow?
Yeah.
Because we have the Bertram Park.
I hear somebody coming up.
Uh-oh.
Good morning again. May I add, for this to be a true restriction that is required to make this a special revenue fund to meet these expectations, I will need a formal resolution of the board. We can come back with that. And effectively, it's whatever you want. If the Board of Commissioners agrees to restrict these funds for a specific purpose, you can, as long as you formally do that, you can formally undo that. But I need a resolution. That's it.
Yep.
So
And I just don't want
we can make it whatever you want it to be.
because I just know that we're having a lot of conversations with this, and knowing that hopefully maybe in 12 or 18 months or maybe sooner, that will maybe be adding all into maybe one contract for the multiple facilities. And I don't want to keep coming back multiple times and modifying this. So to me, maybe it's just better off making it that those funds that go out there are just dedicated out to Bertram.
Okay.
Holistically.
Ross and I can work together to have the language appropriate to meet your expectations there.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. Question. Ross, do you do any such thing at Nye Park for Maple Lake School District at all? Or do we use Collingwood for Cokato schools? Do we just do this for Monticello?
So we have our Carson Law, who is our recreation coordinator, goes out to all the different school districts throughout the county and offers programs. We do environmental days at Nye Park twice a year, and we open that up to several school districts throughout the county. So we actually do work with all of the school districts throughout the county right now.
Oh, great.
At the different facilities. So.
Great.
Yeah, Carson is awesome. She does a great job. She is always engaged with one school district at least, I would say, once or twice a week. So
There is a lot of interest in this nature-based education. They have an extremely long waiting list, and I know Monticello's had conversations with surrounding school districts and wanting to work with them either to get their own or to allow their students in their district to be able to participate in this. But right now, just based on the scope of the facilities out there, it's just not able for them to expand. So, but we are having more conversations about that and thinking of ways that we can maybe get a better utilization out there, because it is a great program and it's a great way to get our youth out into our parks and get them out into the environment in an age where technology tends to take their brain.
Yep, correct. I agree.
Mr. Chair, just curious, excuse me, given the discussion we've had so far, did you want to table this for staff to look at a resolution and bring it back on April 15th? Is that the direction you're looking for?
Because either way, we have to have a resolution to dedicate the funds. So I think at this point, we might as well take no action, just leave this as an informational item, and I'll wait for staff to come back with a resolution. I just would direct staff to make that resolution broad enough to the Bertram Park holistically, just so we're not modifying this multiple times as we combine these other lease agreements.
Okay.
Sounds good, Mr. Chair. We'll proceed, and I'll anticipate having something on the agenda on April 15th.
All right.
Chair. And Ross, thank you so much. I did thank your staff. A lot of constituents are very happy that the reservation system was so flawless this year, and they were able to get on and get their camping spots, and really appreciated being able to have that 4-hour window to get their facility needs taken care of. And so, and I know it's such a big day, and I'm sure you guys took a lot of flack for that, but I'm glad that it's all like done and you guys can go forward.
Yeah, a lot of people behind the scenes did a lot of work for that. So yeah, our Park Services group really spent a lot of time to make sure that was as seamless as possible. So thank you.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank
Ross,
you,
I
Ross.
just want to say thanks again too for inviting me to your Parks and Recreation staff meeting. It was nice to kind of see what you guys do behind the scenes as far as staff go, talking about everything, and to meet more of the staff than just the one that I talked to. So
Yeah, that's why we wanted you to come. We didn't want to give you a bad impression with the one you just talked to. So
Great,
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Ross.
thanks, Ross.
All right, moving on to items for consideration. First item would be approval of the adopt the recommendations from the county board workshop. We had largely informational items, with the investment review as informational, the countywide technology strategy, which was to direct staff to move forward with the Wright County technology strategy for 25 to 2030. Then there was the commissioner expense use discussion, which was asked to move it to discuss at the budget time for further discussion. Then there was the state budget forecast, which was informational only. Then we had the review of the city of Buffalo's abatement request, which was to direct staff to send to the city of Buffalo a letter declining participation. And then we had the update on the conversation with the township and the French Lake shop, which was to direct staff to move forward with a letter of intent and to send it to Ways and Means. And with that,
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendations from the workshop.
Second.
all right, motion by Commissioner Moyna, second by Commissioner Shane. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, the recommendations are approved unanimous. Next, we have the Ways and Means recommendations. The first one would be the household hazardous waste, which, as you see in the packet, has been a conversation now for quite some time. They put together a great timeline. The first one would be to accept all recommendation from the Ways and Means Committee would be to accept all bid packages except the electrical package, which shall be rebid, and authorize county board chair to sign signature on all contracts, allocate funds in the amount of $1.2 million and some change through the general fund, which was formerly ARP funds, for the construction and administration and contingency and miscellaneous items, and approve construction of turn lanes with the household hazardous waste facility funded by additional 2025 state aid maintenance funds.
So moved.
All right,
I'll second.
all right. We have a motion, or do you want to do the other ones here too, or, and there was the,
Mr. Chair, can we have discussion?
yeah, after we have motion second, but is it to approve? So we have the approval of the McLeod County Household Hazardous Waste Agreement, which would allow members of Wright County to facilitate or use the facility at McLeod County, giving better utilization for those on the southern part of the county, as the current household hazardous waste facility is more situated to the north, in East. And then the other recommendation was the long-term finding expenditure planning proposal, which was to bring forward to the board concept approval for a long-term financing and expenditure planning project. And then there was the HHS casework functions, which was informational only. And were you including those recommendations as well?
Yes, I was including those as well.
All right. And now we can have discussion.
Sorry, there's a lot.
No, you're good.
A
Yes.
lot to pick from. You can just kind of.
Yeah.
Just the household hazardous waste. If the electrical bids come, the costs have escalated, I think, a little bit, obviously, to what we've estimated. What if they come in higher and it just doesn't adjust down? We're prepared to fill in those blanks and put money towards that. Is that what make amendments and complete the project? So if we're approving all of this right now, I'm just asking if something unexpected comes with the electrical bid and it's higher than we thought, what would we do when we have this motion right now?
So there's obviously once you go forward with it, these bids as they are, and if you rebid the electrical came in exuberantly high. And I'm going to explain to you, Greg, I assume at that point, if it would say it came in double, it came in at $1 million over, we wouldn't necessarily we could rescope it, and then in which case we could rebid it again to get it down. You wouldn't necessarily be married to it, but it would put you in a complication where we'd have to look at rescoping it at that point.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. We'd have to look at rescoping it. The number you have here was the third highest bid that we received. The first two missed an explosion-proof encasement, which cost about $100,000 to $125,000. So given that the first two lowest bidders missed that item, we've listed the third bidder, which was deemed the lowest competent bidder, but their price difference, even with the $125,000 added between number 1 and 2, still gives you about $100,000 to $150,000 differentiation in bidding. So we feel comfortable going out there again for bidding. I think it should be a very competitive market with the 4 bidders we had. We might even get more. But I think staff, our maintenance facility manager, and our construction manager all feel that 647 should be the ceiling. We believe it'll come in lower.
One of the other concerns I have with costs is once we start this project, I know there's contingency funds, so I'm sure that it could get addressed. But if there's bad soils out there that we might find or what cleanup, it was an old compost facility.
So we did
So
do soil.
I'm just concerned with the cost that could be associated with that too. And I understand we do have contingency funds, but I'm just, at what point?
So from that point, we have worked with Stantec. I believe Stantec did do some borings out there. So that with the contingency funds, we have done our due diligence. So I believe that we've mitigated it. Obviously, anything's possible. So there always is a risk, but I'd say that the chances of it with the due diligence with the borings and then the contingency fund, I would say we're probably in a pretty good position.
I would agree with that, Mr. Chair. And also, the site's already been improved once, so if there were soil issues, they likely were caught in the early 1990s when the facility was built. And this is largely an entirely impervious surface, which should actually help us in the long run for any brownfield or contaminations on site. So given that impervious nature. So I feel comfortable with the numbers that are here for general conditions, but we always plan for the worst. And our architects and engineers have indicated it should come in lower, but we're contingencying up at the worst case.
And I think those are all very good questions and very good concerns. But I think we've done our due diligence to mitigate them to the best of any possible.
Oh, for sure. I've been on the committee and I do support the project. It is something moving forward. So,
Chairman Vetch, I just want to say that I was on the committee as well, and through the whole process, I was the one that going into the project, I didn't want to do it because I think this household hazardous waste facility was the biggest boondoggle Wright County has experienced. It was an albatross for many, many years. I went into it very skeptically, but I want to say that it's a very bare bones project. I am so surprised that the bids came in as nicely as it did, especially I thought it would only be Wright because we were wondering if we should tear all the scrap metal down. And when Wright came in, when those bids came in for tear down, they came in very nice. And, as going forward, it was a 5-0 vote to go forward with the architecture and the tear down at this price point. And I'm amazed because I thought it was going to be way more than the price point that we all agreed to a year ago. So I'm super excited. It's a really good atmosphere now for bidding. I think companies are hungry for work. We've noticed that with the Otsego Fire Department, and then, of course, our own Highway Department. So I think we're sitting really at a really good place, and costs are only going to keep going up, especially now with tariffs. So excited to go forward to make this a lot better for our staff, because the conditions out there to work are atrocious. I think after we went and did the tour, I think that was the tipping point for most of us, because I don't think anybody was too excited about building a new facility. But when they're working at 40 degrees in the wintertime, and the bathroom situation and it's just terrible to put our staff in that situation. So I'm really excited to go ahead with this, and then too, we'll be able to drop out the reservation part of it, and people can it'll be so much better for our constituents.
Thank you, Commissioner Holland. I think that one thing that's really great to point out is the utilization of this facility. In just the short 5-6 year period of time, the utilization of the facility has over doubled. Right now, we're projecting to probably have almost 11,000 visits coming in here in 2025, when we were just under 5,000 in 2018. Now, with that being said, I've gotten more requests for that facility to be able to expand its services. With our population growth, there is a demand for this facility, but this facility needs to meet the needs of the people as well. Unfortunately, a lot of that space out there is empty out there, and it's just shelled buildings that need to be taken care of. So this upgrade will get rid of almost $1.4 million in deferred maintenance on that building, because doing nothing would cost us something, and that wouldn't be a good expenditure. And also, get this reconstruction will hopefully allow us, starting into the next year, to be able to go appointment-free, which I know is one of the things that I've had citizens that want to be able to go out there at their time when it works for them, driving by to get rid of the items that they need to get rid of. So I think this is a great project, sorry.
Mr. Chair, do we know the timeline? Once we rebid this, do we have a timeline?
Until we award it, I don't know that they'll, I guess, Mark, do you have a, Alan?
Alan, probably fall.
It's okay, it's over.
I would think November we should be open.
Get started right away, and then I don't have a construction schedule yet.
Yeah.
I thought until we award it, they usually don't give us a schedule, yeah, so.
Just what we had maybe estimated at our committee. That's just the time frame I was looking at.
I do think that a lot of the information that you just covered is important, and it would be nice if it was more out there, the stuff you talked about, the very poor bathroom conditions and all of the other issues that are out there, because this is something that in my district, with the limited information that I had prior to even 3 months ago or even yesterday, this is something that in my district is not well liked. And the thing that it always comes back to is paying for the previous one for 20 years and not being able to use it. And so there's a lot of, for lack of a better term, PTSD towards having this on their bill that they have to pay every single year and have no way of using it. I do appreciate also working out an agreement with McLeod County down in the Hutchinson facility, even though over 26% of the Stockholm Township, which is the farthest south and west, uses this facility currently. But I think having that information out there is very beneficial, because just that discussion in the last 2 minutes has changed my mind on this topic. When I came into this very against this because of all of the negative reaction from my district for this facility in the last couple of months.
And Commissioner Moyna, I think those are all items that we should discuss at the township officers on the realization of the deferred maintenance out there and the heating costs of this facility are some just big points out there alone of why staying out there isn't viable. This boondoggle that we originally constructed in 1990 needs to go to bed. It's, and I get that they're PTSD with that because it was unfortunate that I don't even know that it operated even for 5 years when it was originally constructed, as sad as it may be.
Yeah, and the PTSD is true. Every resident in Wright County was irritated with this whole thing. That's why I was not in favor of going forward, but I'm glad we're to this point now.
This is not a boondoggle. We have well vetted this. This facility is not a large scale scope thing. This is actually taking that boondoggle and bringing it down to really be what it should be out there, which is a household hazardous waste drop-off facility, and with paired with a compost site.
And recycling.
Yep. Well, with that, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
There already was.
Oh, there was a
one on
motion.
the
That's right.
floor.
We had such a long discussion.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Same people.
It was, you guys made the
was
motion
the same
before we had to,
people.
yes. We had a motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland to approve the recommendations from the Ways and Means Committee. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimous. Board members, I think we've, coming here towards the end, forgot, we had the,
911.
approve the recommendations from the 911 Committee. So,
Yeah, we made Captain Ferguson sit here for an hour.
he did that on purpose. Sorry, my computer went to sleep on me here.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
yes.
Members of the board. I think you should have it in front of you, the recommendation from the 911 committee we met last week, if my memory is correct. It's pretty spelled out there in the recommendation, really just a continuation of the conversations that started back in 2018, 2020, 2022, when we did the upgrades to the main center here. So just more an overall update for the members of the committee and for yourselves of where we've been, where we are, and where we intend to go, and just looking for a recommendation to continue in that process.
Nope, I think this is great. Keep making small continuous upgrades versus waiting for one day where you have to put out a 7-8 figure. So this is a better way of going about it.
Yeah, there's nothing inexpensive about any of the equipment in either of the two centers we now operate, but we're fortunate to have these restricted funds and be able to use them in the manner we do.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendations from the 911
I'll make that
committee.
motion.
Motion by Commissioner Holland.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dietrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Now we are on to the closed session. At this time, we will move to a closed session to.
Can I say something before we
sure.
go to closed session? And if I'm out of line in saying this, please let me know. But I know most people aren't going to watch after this break in the action, but just wanted to wish a speedy recovery to John Haller. He had recently had back surgery, and if I'm sharing too much, somebody can yell at me, that's fine, but I know he's somebody that a lot of the people within the county talk to. Every department, it seems like someone talks to John, and he's kind of their go-to person, so I just wanted to wish him a speedy recovery from his back surgery.
Yeah, I agree.
Very good. All right. With that, now we will move on to our closed session to consider offers for purchase of real property. Under closed session would be under Minnesota Statute 13D.05 subdivision 3B3. Property location 311 Brighton Avenue, Buffalo, Minnesota.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
We will give ourselves a second here to get into closed session.
Mr. Chair, we can just go in the back room.
me tell my camera. All right. It is 10:17. We are back in session here from our closed session here. And at this point, we have any recommendations from our closed session. After discussion, I believe the consensus from the closed meeting was to move forward with the purchase agreement on property 611 Brighton Avenue.
311.
Or 311 Brighton Avenue, at the purchase amount of, stated in the papers, I can't remember what it was it?
Mr. Chair, it's $1,150,000.
Thousand, which was to be paid out of a county general fund to move forward with this purchase, which is a building that is currently facilitated with Wright County Soil and Water and NRCS are the two tenants of the building, and it is the recommendation of the from the closed meeting to move forward with the purchase of that building.
Can you explain what NRCS is?
NRCS is a farm services at the federal level here that's officed here in Buffalo that services Wright and parts of Hennepin County, and I believe even some of our surrounding bordering counties for farm services with federal funding.
That's correct. Mr. Chair, the NRCS is the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is a division of the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Great, thanks.
So this building was brought to our attention for the purchase of it, as the current owner of the building is looking to liquidate the property. At this time, Wright County has been renting a portion of it for the facility for Wright County Soil and Water. So it was of our interest to purchase said building to continue the facilitating that space for soil and water, as well as being able to keep NRCS close to soil and water, which they intend to do. The purchase price was well in line with commercial real estate investments, so it's under cap. So what we are currently taking in for lease payments from NRCS with that along with what we are paying for rent with Wright Soil and Waters, which will be of savings, will actually make this a good investment for the citizens of Wright County.
Mr. Chair, I'd also just note the 90-day due diligence period as well.
Yes, so right now we're just entering into this purchase agreement, which will put us into a 90-day due diligence period, which we have, we'll begin looking at the building, making sure that the conditions of the building are in line with the purchase price that we are offering.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I will stand for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Holland, second by Commissioner Shane, to purchase 611 Brighton Avenue real property for $1.15 to be paid at a general fund balance and to enter into the purchase agreement and start the due diligence period. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
All right, motion passes 4-1. Thank you. And now it is 10:20. With no other business to come forward before the county board, we will adjourn the county board meeting at 10:20.